Could we just start squad wise? Just give us an insight into your sort of process of selecting the squad this week.
It was fit. It would be like that for a few weeks, to be honest. But yeah, we're all right. We're all right. We're in a good place, I think. Just obviously the team's been going pretty well, so not looking to change too much. Quite a few of our injuries are sort of longish term anyway, so there's not an awful lot of change. Obviously, Tommy Doyle coming back into the equation gives us an option. But then, Arv's been playing pretty well. Uddy had a rest last week, so yeah, we like I say, we rested a few players last week, and that freshened them up a bit. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. Great challenge for us this one.
So would Hood, Pratt, and Griffin come back into the reckoning this week from last?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they're all been really good players for us this year. So we'll um, giving them an opportunity to take a breather, I think was awesome last week, and the team did a really good job.
And with Doyley as well, I mean, it's such an awful injury, wasn't it? And he's had to bide his time. How eager are you to see him in action?
Yeah, well, it's really been just getting him through all the process of getting ready to play, which is it's not just you get over your injury and there you go back in. It's about building his durability back up with how much running he does, how many high speed meters he does, the contact side of it. Because the thing about Dyle is you missed pre-season, so that's quite tough. That when you come into Super League on the back of having a really skinny pre-season, so we're mindful of that, and also Harvey's been playing pretty well, so we he's done a great job. Diley will get an opportunity pretty soon, whether it's tomorrow or it's next week. Then we'll make that decision as we roll through the weeks.
Just on squad player on the players, obviously since we last spoke, the new deal for Caius was announced. How big a piece of the jigsaw is he for you down there?
Yeah, well, I think he's been a slowish burner really, but then like sort of got an opportunity to start and he's sort of exploded a little bit, and obviously scoring tries. If a middle unit player is doing what he did at Magic and then scoring tries consistently, they're going to be big news, aren't they? You start to see fans with Vartilli on the back of the shirts, and he's having an impact then. So yeah, it was really important. I think once he'd settled in and showed what he could do, he came on a 1 year deal. So a bit of a pump from him and a bit of a pump from us, to be honest. And we feel like we're getting quite a few things right from a recruitment perspective. But yeah, once he settled in and we saw what kind of guy he was and how hard he was working and the difference that he has to some other players as well. I think having balance around your squad and the players on the field who can do different jobs, I think is pretty important.
Tomorrow's fixture then is obviously a big one whenever Leeds and Wakefield play, but there's going to be a lot of emotion around this game with it being their MND awareness fixture as well. How do you, Brad Arthur's just spoken about the emotion as well. How do you try and take the emotion out of the game from their point of view? Is there anything that you can do?
I don't, well, I think obviously I spoke about Rob earlier in the week, and the respect I have for him and his family and everything that he went through, and what a champion young man. So I just think for us is it's a game, isn't it? That's ultimately what it comes down to. I think from Leeds' perspective, he's there all his career. He meant so much to that club. He means so much to rugby league people in general. But for Leeds, it's their tribute, and we're playing in a big game against a team that's they're playing some pretty good rugby league at the moment. So we'll turn up and be ourselves and do what we can, take the emotion out of it from our perspective. I think in terms of the game, that's what we have to do. Whilst we'll pay full respect to the champion that Rob was and will always be remembered as. So we'll do what we need to do there. And like I say, I've already spoken about that. I think Leeds are they're pretty big favourites. They're at home, motivation for all sorts of reasons. So little old Wakefield will turn up and crack on and do what we can to be a part of it. And yeah, I think it'd be awesome. I think the atmosphere will be awesome. Leeds is an unbelievable club. I've spent some time there myself, obviously, and yeah, it's such an unbelievable place to play rugby league.
Just one more on Rob, Daryl. Obviously, he meant a huge amount to you as well, and you're the man who gave him his full debut. How proud have you been of the legacy that we've seen him leave behind?
Yeah, I think for MND, he's probably been one of the biggest stories, hasn't he? And the legacy that there are a lot of people that surrounded Rob supporting as well. People like Kevin Tinfield in particular. I think he's just a phenomenal human story. I think of unity and support for a cause that is it's a really really tough disease. I've seen it quite a few times throughout my career with people who played our great game, and it's heartbreaking. But in order to eventually find a cure, then this is probably the biggest thing that's happened. And the legacy and the story that's being told on a consistent basis is outstanding. And Rob, I drive through Leeds and pass where they're building the hospital and see his face, and just proud to have been a part of such an unbelievable person's life.
Just a couple more on Rob, if I can. What are your memories of that sort of process leading up to giving him his full debut? I mean, he was only 18 at the time, wasn't he? I was going to say he wasn't a big lad. He was never a big lad. How easy a decision was it to throw him in at the time when you did?
Yeah, it was pretty well. I'd just taken over at
Yeah.
that time, and I'd actually coached Rob, people like Rob and Danny Maguire in the under 18s. So I knew how talented and how special he was. He'd actually, when I was playing, I know I mentioned this before. He'd carved his opening a touch game when he was sort of coming through the system. Oh wow, just he was tiny, but wow, he was so fast and athletic. And when it came to, I just felt like you were going through a process really of changing the culture at Leeds. I'd been a part of that team, and my career had come to an end, and I was pretty quickly thrust into being a head coach. And the young players that were coming through that generation were pretty special rugby league players. So it was easy to do it. He'd played his first game and he came off the bench. Against White, maybe I think it was for when Dean Lance was still coaching. So yeah, I know all about him, obviously from different perspectives, having coached him in the youth teams, and yeah, it was a pretty easy decision to be honest, because I just felt things needed to change, and he was part of that change.
There were the stories I think I've heard in the time since he passed away about him putting shots on blokes like Wayne McDonald as an 18-year-old in training and stuff like that. I mean, you sort of touched on it there. You could see from a very early age that he was going to be special.
Yeah, well, he's exceptionally tough as well as being exceptionally fast. So he had everything that you would want in a rugby league player. And he's very brave as a young man and committed to what he wanted to do. So and he took that size thing as a personal challenge. And yeah, he didn't want to run straight at him because he folded people. He genuinely did. So. Yeah, he's like I say, it was an easy decision. Such a high quality young player and young man, and the rest is history. As I say, he did a pretty good job.
And on the game tomorrow, I think it's possible the winner could end the day in fourth place halfway through the season. Would that be a point where you'd have to maybe reevaluate your goals for the season, or is that where you kind of hope this group could get you to by the midway point?
Um, well, you never really know, do you? I think when you're a team that's been promoted, you sort of you think you know what you've got. I mean, you don't really know until you get into the nuts and bolts of it and you put under some pressure. But I think we've been really good. We've been super competitive in pretty much all the games, and I think the confidence within the group is growing. So, well, we'll see what happens in the game, and we're always evaluating where we're at and what we can do to be a little bit better. So, yeah, it's an interesting season. I think it's a really interesting one for us, and we just keep ticking along, working hard, focusing on what we can control, and when we do focus on what we can control, then we've had some really outstanding performances.
Just lastly from me, I know you made some changes last week, but I think 9 of that 17 were 25 and under last weekend. I mean, it must be encouraging as a coach that you're performing really well in the here and now, but it feels like a group that's still some way off hitting its ceiling yet as well.
Yeah, I mean that's been part of our recruitment strategy. Signing some younger players. We've signed quite a few younger overseas players, and that's been like I say, the sort of the focus for us to have some longevity in terms of the players that we sign. And we're working hard on the youth development of the future, but that's going to take some time. So, the here and now is we're signing players who we feel like are going to be around for 5, 6, 7 years, and then that's a complete sort of development and evolution of the Wakefield Trinity team. So, yeah, we're in a good place with that, and the young players are doing a great job for us. And I just think there's a lot of upside in them. They've just got so much development potential. But even our senior players are getting better. So, I think just from the coaching team, just a big, pat on the back for those guys because they're all working hard to make sure that we're growing every week.
How much personal satisfaction are you taking from the turnaround there? Because even if you weren't doubting yourself, there were plenty doing it on your behalf when you left Warrington.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just enjoying it, personal satisfaction, just enjoying what I'm doing, enjoying working with players. It's such a good group. Come in every day and work hard, but we have a good crack as well. It's a great environment to be in. So yeah, I'm just enjoying it really. I think everywhere I've been, I've had a decent measure of success. Apart from one, well, work that out if you want. But for me, it's just enjoying being a part of a club that's really going places and a group of blokes that are just a pleasure to work with.
Yeah, you knew the club had ambition when you came in from your talks with Matt Ellis. Are you surprised by the speed of the turnaround there, though?
Uh, yeah, well, yeah, it has been quick, but I think everybody talks about culture, don't they? And what that means is just a way of behaving, a way of being, both on and off the field. And I think if you set that foundation right, then you end up being in a great place. You've got to get your recruitment right. The first person I employed, Steve Mills, and we worked pretty tight and with Matt as well. Providing the support from a financial perspective. Then we feel like we've got a really good foundation, but loads of work to do. We're not the finished article yet. We know that, and keeping our feet on the ground and just every week, just looking to get better.
Yeah, you obviously go back to Leeds this week. Did your experiences there early in your coaching career still steel you for the challenges you've faced more recently?
Yeah, it was interesting that actually. Yeah, I think I remember I was only young from a coaching perspective. I hadn't really I'd done a little bit of coaching at Keighley, and I was coaching the under 18s, but I'd only been retired for 6 months or so when Gary offered me the job. So it was an interesting challenge, that one. But I felt like we were in a good place. When I stepped down. And yeah, enjoyed it. Yeah, I just enjoyed the club. I was there for a long time, actually, in different as a player, and then as a rugby owner, and then as a head coach. So, yeah, it's a great club.
I know you don't want to put a ceiling on what Wakefield can achieve, but you've been to Old Trafford once with Castleford a few years ago now. Do you truly believe you can get back there with Wakefield?
Yeah, 100%. I don't, you always want to dream and believe that you can do special things. I think, this year's an interesting season for us because it's our first year in Super League, and we're just going right. Let's see how far we can go, how good we can be this season without a massive amount of pressure on us. I won't be putting any pressure on the team. I just think it's just keep doing what we're doing, and I think the challenge for us is to go into these environments and come out on top. You know, we've done it a couple of times this season, and we've had a couple where we haven't quite handled it as well. I think the St Helens games we didn't really handle that well mentally. But apart from that, I think mentally we've been pretty good wherever we've played.
Just finally, Hull KR and Wigan seem to be out on their own a little bit. Do you feel it's wide open below those two clubs at the moment?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think if you look at it now, it is. You know, yeah, we've played a couple of teams that are expected to be up and around that sort of area in the table, and I feel like we can challenge there, but the challenge for us, is be consistent. Really, I mean, we've got a hell of a lot of injuries at the moment, but I don't really spoke about it too much. Just crack on, and the guys that are taking the field every week deserve the respect that they're in the team, and they're doing an unbelievable job for us, whoever that is. So if we start to get players back sometime down the track, it's going to be a hell of a team to pick.
Yeah, sorry, just one very final one. When would you expect that injury situation to start to ease?
Oh well, sheesh, I don't know. I mean, there's a couple of the middle unit players. Caleb, we're not really sure because he's got a nerve damage injury. We don't know when he's going to come back. Kai Rodwell's like 3 months. We know for Tony's 3 months. Matty Staunton's 3 months. They're all like that. The sort of long-term injuries, which Truey not 100% on him, still struggling a bit with his back. So Ollie Russell's probably 3 weeks away. Tommy Doyle is not too far away. He's this week, next week. So yeah, there's a few blokes who are sat watching at the moment, but they all want to be playing, and they're all working towards. And this is a long season, You don't, we you get to playoff time, and we're in and around the mix of it, and we get those guys back. Then we'd be incredibly strong if we can have some luck along the way.
Obviously, Kaiser's had the headlines this week, but a great bit of business tying Jay Pitts up as well. You need players that give you 8 and 9 out of 10 every week, and Jay's certainly one of them. How important was it to get him over the line as well?
Yeah, I think he's been really important for us. I just think Jay alongside Mike McMeekan, really strong performers, great experience, great understanding of the game, tough as teak, durable, plays big minutes. What more can I say about him, really? I think he's been a bit of a cornerstone of of that middle unit with Mikey, and Uddy's been in there, pretty much most of the season. So yeah, and to extend him another year potentially too is it's great for him and it's great for us.
That middle unit battle, I think he's going to be a belter. We saw Lizzoni in great form as well. That Kais and Lizzoni battle could be quite explosive. I hope the foundations are good headingly this weekend. Whoever wins that middle unit battle could have a big say, probably the biggest say in this game, would you say?
Yeah, it usually is, isn't it? I think you have to sort of set a platform there. I mean, they made massive meters last week. 2,500 meters is huge. I think we against Salford we scored 70 odd points and we were 1,900, and they're 2,500 on Cass's. Everybody talks about being a shorter pitch, so he's 10 meters shorter, but that has an impact. So. Yeah, they are big, pretty physical. They come after you. So yeah, we're ready for it. I think we know what's coming. We know all the emotion of the day and how they're going to use that to their benefit. I was at that game when they played Lee last year when Robert had just sadly passed, and there was a massive outpouring of sort of emotional feeling and. Yeah, we're ready for all of that.
And finally, for me, Davil, in terms of discipline going into this, Leeds have had 1 red, 5 yellows this year. You've had 3 yellows. How important is it that you keep all 13 on the field? Because statistically, there's a chance there could be a card in this one.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty good discipline wise. Mace was one at over in Catalan. It's tight one. I think we're pretty disciplined. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. I think the referees have sort of quietened it down a little bit. They're a little bit more balanced. I think both in Australia and here they're managing it much better now. So yeah, I just expect us to be really disciplined. I think we've been great in that area. So hopefully it's 13v13 for the full 80 minutes. I think that's what the game deserves.
Just one quick one. You mentioned little old Wakefield earlier on. Do you think that's how people still see you, or I mean, you're only 2 points behind Leeds. You've been there and won there this season. Do you think people are giving you a little bit more respect from that than that now?
Oh, maybe not. And I'm not really that bothered, to be honest. I still think they talk about us more in surprise than anything else. So, we just keep looking after ourselves, I think. And, I think you'd have to say Leeds would be big favourites, and they've got a couple of players missing, Sevo would, Hackers maybe, but, we've got a shed full missing, two starting halves. Almost a full pack. So yeah, look, we have got a lot, and I think Leeds are flying. They're playing exceptionally well. They'll be huge favourites for tomorrow, but it doesn't really matter when you get on the field, does it? It's just about who's gonna be the best on the day. So, but I think it's set up to be an awesome game. I just think they're playing so well. And we're going okay. So yeah, it's a great challenge, great atmosphere. I think it'll be buzzing there. So if you want to play rugby league, this is one of the best stages to play it.
And just one more thing, you won there in round one, obviously. Do you think that maybe puts a bit of doubt in their mind and gives you a bit of confidence, or is that just totally irrelevant now, 13 weeks later?
Well, your motivation ebbs and flows for different reasons, doesn't it? I thought I actually thought they were big favourites in round one as well. They beaten us in the pre-season game. They were feeling good about themselves. So yeah, I think it's same. I think it's similar sort of setup. And again, I mean, it's bizarre that we're playing them at home again, isn't it? We've already played them there. Look, fixtures crazy this year, but it is what it is. So yeah, we're just looking forward to it. I think all of it, great challenge. The best things in team sport, all sport really, but these challenges where you're going into such an intense environment and you've got to handle everything that gets thrown at you and come out the other side and learn some more things about yourselves as a team, individuals, as a coaching staff, everything really. So this is perfectly set up, I think, for an awesome game tomorrow.
Just kick off by telling us what the new deal meant to you, first of all, Caius, if you could.
Oh, it was massive. It was obviously I only signed for the year to get over here, and they sort of chucked me an opportunity just at the start of the year. And was always keen to get over to this side of the world, and then obviously I was probably been a bit lucky. I don't know who to put it down to, but I'm a Christian, so put it down to the Lord paving the way. But I've been lucky just with an opportunity, I guess. We've obviously struggled with a bit of injuries throughout the year, but it's also given me an opportunity to step into the side and do what I do. So yeah, with the new deal, I'm just grateful for Wakey for giving it to me, really, and yeah, really happy to be here for the next 4 years or 3 years.
Yeah, but to come over on a 1 year deal to a club that had just been promoted, how much of a gamble did you see it at the time?
I didn't really see it as a gamble, to be fair. I'll be honest and say that I didn't really know about too much about this side of the world when I first came over. I never really, I guess, followed Super League. I've always knew it was there, and I have seen some stuff, but I've never really followed it. I didn't really know too much about Wakey, but coming in, I've obviously heard the stories of what Wakey was like in the past, but to be fair, since I've got here, we've been on the up. I think, our owners, Matty Ellis and his family have been doing an excellent job. I've pretty much only seen the good side of everything so far. So, I'm grateful for that. But yeah, well, as soon as I stepped in with the boys, stepped in with the staff and everyone around the club, I thought that this is a class place to be. And yeah, obviously I was only playing sort of reserve grade below the NRL and Queensland Cup over in Australia. So, just to get the opportunity to be full time, I was obviously over there just part time, still working and playing footy, which I enjoyed. But having the opportunity to come here and be full time, I think has definitely helped me with my game as well. Just being able to focus just on footy is a lot easier than I'm trying to balance work, footy, and family. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Just talk to us about that try scoring record at the moment. 2 tries in your last 3 games. It's put you down as the joint top Super League try scorer at Wakefield Trinity, which is quite incredible. What do you put it down to?
Oh, I don't really know. I always just put it down to luck at the right place at the right time, I guess. You know, uh, yeah, lucky at most, but the boys around me are doing a lot of the work. We've got an awesome forward pack that gets them go forward with Mike and Pitsy with his ball playing as well. We've got good halves. Mace is just leading us around awesomely. So the boys around me are always doing good, and I just try to do my best to do my part. And if I try to get over the line, I get over the line.
Will you be disappointed if you don't score at Headingley on Saturday, given this run so far?
Yeah, well, I always like to try to keep the streak alive. It's definitely going to be a tough game. They've been going real well, Leeds at the moment. So but so have we. We've fronted our pack. We've got I think we're on 3 on the trot, which is we're just trying to keep the ball rolling, I guess. Week after week, we're just doing our best, putting our front foot forward. So it'll definitely be a challenge tomorrow, but I hope I can do my part.
You've become, Caius, you've become a fan's favourite in a very short space of time. You've had an open training session down there today. I don't know whether you saw anyone with Fire Tilly on the back of the shirt, but there will be lots of fans that have that. What does it mean to you when you see that? When you see fans with your name on the back of their shirt?
Oh, it's crazy. I love the fans. I love how they've welcomed me in as well. They've been awesome. The whole community around Wakey's just been awesome. I'm moving. I just live down the road, so I see some fans are just around the shops on the street, and they always say hello. They're always real friendly. It's something that you dream of as a kid. So it's been a real eye opener. But yeah, I've really loved it. My family's loved it as well. My missus is always on her phone looking at comments. I sort of stay away from social media, to be fair, but she's always looking through and seeing everything. But yeah, loving the fans and loving the environment so far.
Have you seen any kids emulating the haircut yet?
Yeah, well, we just had a open fans day today at Captain's Run, and and there was a few mullets getting around, which was nice to see. They showed me and give it a shake. It's good that.
Has that always been a big part of your image, your hair?
Yeah, well, I guess so. I've always been I don't really know. Yeah, well, I do. I've always expressed sort of myself with my hair. I've never really thought about it too much. It's always just been something. I'm a pretty easygoing guy, so I just it's there. I used to have a big afro. I cut that off, but I couldn't say goodbye to all of it, so I left a bit at the back.
It's probably quite uncomfortable playing in a big afro, isn't it? I would have thought.
Yeah, well, especially over in Oz, it gets a bit hot. I think well, I would have liked it over here, keep me nice and warm, but yeah.
It's not chilly yet, pal. Don't worry about that. Just lastly from me, everyone's building up the Caius Fartilli and Sam Lasoni duel tomorrow. If you two connect together, that's going to be quite something, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Sambo's a class player. He's yeah, I think it's his 250th as well.
It's 200th.
Yeah, or 200th. So that'll be awesome for him. We're just two big bodies, and if I think I don't know if we'll actually meet each other because I think I might be. Cause it depends how long I start for because I think he's rolling off the bench. So I'll probably be coming off and he'll be coming on. So I don't know if we'll get to see each other, but he's a class player, and I really wouldn't want to see him in front of me, to be honest.
Good. Obviously, you're coming up against Sam, but also you're coming against the stalwart in Mikola Jeletsky as well, who has been coveted in Super League for many years, very consistent. How important is it for you to come up against these front rowers who've got a lot of history and really equip yourself well against them?
Oh, it's big. It's obviously a big challenge. To be fair, I don't really change much. I go into every week, with the same prep and with the same mentality. We've got a good pack here. I think, we've got a class pack with obviously I said Mike and Pitsy, but we've got a few injuries obviously with Caleb and Kai and Stars as well. All those blokes that are still coming back. I think we got a really class pack. One of the best in the Super League that can go toe to toe with anyone. So it's definitely going to be a big challenge tomorrow. But like I said, I go into most games with the same sort of mentality of trying to get over a pack. So yeah.
You mentioned obviously reserve grade Australia. We know that the NRL is the premier rugby league competition in the world. How does Super League compare to Queensland Cup Rugby League? Have you found that? Is it a step up? Is it on a par? How do you see it?
I would say it's a step up. It's definitely a step up. You got one's part time, one's full time. So I guess you get the full time athletes of obviously it's a lot easier to develop, a lot easier to go week in, week out. Q Cup was still good. It was a quality competition, and it still took me a wee while to find my feet over there. But when I did, it was good type of footy. I guess it's different as well. There's a couple rule changes within the NRL and Super League. With the NRL, they're changing rules every year at least. And obviously with the Queensland Cup and the New South Wales Cup, we just adapt to the NRL rules as well. So coming over here, it took me a wee while just to learn, I guess, the different rules. It was more going back to the old rules, the traditional rules that Super League have. And but really enjoying my footy over here. It's been class.
Yeah, I mean, and people always talk about styles as well. I mean, the NRL and the Super League, it's a different style, it's a different brand of rugby, and sometimes it suits Australians to play in the British game. How have you found the changing style?
Yeah, definitely. I think that the style is definitely different, and I think it does suit me a lot. I talk to people when I first was thinking about coming over here. I talked to Powley, and he said that he thought that the English game really suited me as a player as well, and since coming here, he's definitely been right. I think you know it's sort of hard to explain that the different styles, but it has been class. I think it does suit me as a player. Just yeah, I don't know how to sort of explain it, but it does.
Another player that came across very similar to you, Tom Amon at the Lee Leopards, and you remind me a lot of his game because Tom got good feet, he's got good hands. Obviously, he's a bulldozing unit. And in 2023, he was in the Super League Dream Team, and on your current form, you could very well pick up that shirt. From your perspective, if you can carry on this form, what would it feel like to be a dream team in your first knock in Super League like Tom achieved?
Oh, it'll be awesome. That's a long way away though. We're just taking it one week at a time. It's definitely awesome, and it's definitely I've got goals to achieve. I won't go into it, but yeah, we're something that I want to do, something that I want to build to. If it doesn't come this year, though, I'm not too stressed. Like I said, I'm going just taking it one step at a time. I've been talking to Tom, actually talked to Tom again after Magic Weekend, and he's a class bloke as well. He gave me a few tips and stuff over here. So yeah, um, like I said, we'll take it one week at a time, and if I can carry on this form, it'll be awesome. I'm really loving footy at the moment, so if I can carry on that form for myself and for the club, for the fans, it'll be good.